Well, now we get to chat with our friend Craig Button about his first Craigslist of the season. And Craig, I was so excited to see I decided to dress more formally for this particular interview. So I put on a whole new suit, basically, is what I did. Just for you, Craig. Just for you. And you're very impressed, I know.
I appreciate that. I appreciate, well, I mean, not only is the suit special, I mean, you wear it well.
Thank you, my friend. Last year, we know it was the Connor Bedard draft. We all know that. Is this the Macklin Celebrini draft? What is this draft, Craig? Tell me.
No, it's not the Macklin Celebrini draft. Last year, there was no question that the number one pick unquestionably was going to be Connor Bedard. Macklin Celebrini and Cole Eiserman, I'd call it 1A, 1A. I mean, they're both brilliant players. They're different players. Macklin is a really well-rounded centerman in the mold of a Jonathan Toews. And Cole Eiserman is a player in the mold of Alexander Ovechkin, a great goal scorer, somebody who wants to drive the puck through the net, not just into the net, through the net. He's got a shot-first mentality. His second mentality is shoot. His third mentality is shoot. The fascinating thing about Macklin and Cole is they were roommates at Shattuck St. Mary's. They were line mates. They're best friends. And these are the two best players in the 2024 NHL draft. It'll be fascinating to watch them. And, you know, when you look at both of these players, you know, it's going to depend on who's picking first and what they're looking for. If you have two centers in your organization, two top line centers, you're going to look at the goal scorer. If you don't have top line centers and you got some wingers, you're going to look at the center. So the bottom line is that these are the two best players at this point in time, and I don't think it's going to change over the course of the season. And you get to pick. You want the goal scorer or do you want the well-rounded player? I think both of them will be significant players in the NHL for whatever team gets them.
One of my favorite things about your lists is I like to see who really, you know, stands out throughout the course of the season and jumps up in your list. So is there a particular player, Craig, that you maybe have your eye on that you think might rise up in your draft rankings throughout the course of the season?
Guaranteed, there's going to be players rise up, and that's just the nature of the draft. You're looking at players in September. You know, I've had the opportunity to watch most of these players, the vast majority of them, for 18 months or longer. So it's not like I'm looking at players and I don't feel that these are the best players. But there's going to be players that are going to emerge. There's players that are going to show that they're better than maybe we projected them to be at this point in the year. And that's why it's a year-long process, not just for me, but for the NHL scouts and everything they're doing in terms of their evaluation. So when we start to ask about players that could really rise up, I look at Zane Parekh of the Saginaw Spirit. He's got a dynamic offensive game. He's a fantastic skater. And when you watch him and you see the way he can impact the game with the puck, and he does it passing the puck, he does it shooting, he does it joining the attack. He's going to be in the Memorial Cup as Saginaw is hosting the Memorial Cup. So he's one player that I'm excited about watching over the course of the year and seeing. Another player, E.J. Onrait from the USA National Team Development Program. If you ask me right now who the best athlete is in the NHL draft coming up, it would be E.J. Onrait. He's big, he's strong, he's competitive, he can skate. He doesn't have the offensive upside that, and you'll hear that. They'll say, well, what about his offensive upside? He's a player that's going to have a 15, 18-year career in the NHL because of his ability to impact it in so many different ways. If he had offense, he'd be right there at top of the list. He'd be going number one if he had offense. That's how good he is. So I'm looking at two defensemen, Zane Parekh and E.J. Onrait. They're not the only ones. And, Jay, here's a little trivia for you. E.J. Emery's father played in the CFL.
Oh, really? So, okay. That's exciting. But he's with the U.S. National Development Program.
Yes, he is.
Craig, Bob McKenzie paid you a very nice compliment last week when he was on this show. He said, because I asked him to make a comparison who he would compare Macklin Celebrini to as far as an NHL player. And he said, I don't do that. That's Craig's department. He makes comparisons of draft prospects and helps us understand how good they could be by comparing them to current NHLers. But I understand, Craig, that there's a player on your current list that has no comparable. There's no one to compare him to. Zeev Buium. What makes him so unique, Craig?
Well, he is unique. And when you know about Zeev, and he played last year with the National Team Development Program, won a gold medal. He played with Cole Eiserman. They were fantastic. Great skater. He's going to Denver. He's going to get great coaching. His older brother was drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. And the way Zeev looks at this, he goes, I want to take the best of every defenseman in the National Hockey League. So I watch them all, try to take the best elements from each of them. And that would be too long to say I compared to, how would he say? He would go, I compared to Makar, Carlson, Quinn Hughes, Heiskanen, Hedman. That's too much. That's a mouthful. So he just says, I have no comparable. I'm going to take the best of each of them.
There's no comparable for this guy either. And I'll say this, a lot can change between now and June. So we're going to have Craig back several times to talk about several more Craig's List, and I will put on a new suit every single time because that's just how much I respect this guy. Thanks, Craig.
Listen, by all accounts, the draft is going to be in Vegas. So somewhere down the stretch, you better dress as Elvis.
Thank you very much.